Hey people of VC, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder, and it's that time of the year where we all go back over our purchases for the last year and pick our favourites. I'm not going to do a ranking video this time because I love all of these albums and some albums, some EPs, but I love them all, and it's difficult to necessarily compare them against each other as there are some different styles of music, and I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare them because I would like to promote all of these records, all of these albums, records and CDs. And if you've not heard them, I thoroughly recommend that you check them out. So I will pick a favourite, and I will show that at the end. But other than that, these are 18 releases from this year that I thoroughly enjoyed. There are some big releases from last year that I've seen in other people's ranking videos already that I've just not got or not heard. So this isn't, I'm not trying to say that this is the definitive list for 2018, but it's my definitive list for 2018 because it's all I've heard. So without further ado, let's dive in. First off, I'll cover the non-metal, and I've got two or three of them. So the first one up is Manic Street Preachers. Resistance is Futile. This to me is a return to form for the Manics, one of my favourite bands. They're from my hometown of Cardiff, where I grew up, and yeah, just a great release and beautiful songs on there. James Dean Bradfield, the singer and guitarist for Manic Street Preachers, is one of my favourite vocalists of all time. Even if you've never checked out Manic Street Preachers, they've been going for 25 years, 30 plus years, and they have a very wide and varied back catalogue of music, and I thoroughly recommend that you should at least listen to some of their music, and if you don't like one album, then try another one. There's something for everybody there. So Resistance is Futile. Next one is blues rock. Something that I've got into a little bit more over the last couple of years. I don't have a great deal in my collection, but it makes a nice change from maybe some of the faster and heavier stuff that I listen to a lot. And this is the Temperance Movement with a deeper cut. I don't know too much about this band. I know they're a British band. They've had a few albums out. I couldn't even tell you which number album this is, but this is a really good release. If you're into blues rock, then give that a listen. Now, the other one that doesn't really stick within the metal scene, but is more sort of stoner hard rock. It doesn't look like it from the cover. In fact, look at these guys down in the corner. Oh, very bizarre. So this is Chubby Thunderous Bad Kush Masters with their new album Come and Chutney. I say the new album, it's kind of their first album. They released an EP a couple of years ago. I'm actually going to open this one up because it's one I've not shown on here before. They've got a good sense of humour, as you can tell from these pictures. The music certainly doesn't reflect the instruments that you can see on show here. It is proper in your gut, stoner hard rock. I always say that heavy metal gets me in the head, gets me, my head banging, and gets my just the way my brain is wired. It's wired for heavy metal, but when I listen to a really good, deep, fuzzy riff, it really kind of gets me in the guts, and I love it. And this, you'll see in the back here, it comes with this. It's a takeaway style menu, and it's got some very bizarre recipes. I'm not sure how well you can read this, but if it's in focus, pause your video and take a look. This will be great. It's hilarious. I gave this to my wife actually and told her that it came through the door from a new takeaway that was down the road, and she was reading about things like the Greedy Bastards extras, 8 nuggets and chewing gum, bag of spam, shits and salad and pita bread, and she just thought it was just like completely outrageous that they could do this kind of thing. So that's some Donna Trumps as well, but very funny. I think it's funny anyway. I've got that kind of sense of humour. But a good album as well, though. I can't fault it. I do like a bit of Chubby Thunderous Bad Kush Masters. Also one of the most fantastic band names ever made. Love it. Moving, the rest is all within more of the heavy metal category. Showed this in a recent update, but I am really digging the Skull Pit album. Side project from Exuma and Church of Misery members. I think I've described this as Motorhead versus Beats Black Sabbath. Speed metal with sort of doom metal riffs as well. Excuse me. Oh dear. Another one I showed recently. Michael Schenker Fest Resurrection. Absolutely love this album. It's Michael Schenker reunited with 4 of his previous singers. This is Graham Bonnet, Robbie McCauley, D.V. White, Gary Barden. I thought I'd forget all those there, but it's a great album. It is no way, shape or form a tribute album of Michael Schenker. It is all new material, and it's fantastic. It's really good. Some new wave of British heavy metal. I've not seen this band, but this is a absolutely killer release from this year. I did pick it up on CD originally, and then lo and behold, a month or two later, they released it on vinyl. But the artwork was so good that I just felt I've got to get this on vinyl as well. The songs on here: 2019, The Last Horizon, Pride and Ruin. It's just killer stuff. It's thoroughly recommend checking out these guys, their debut album. This is the second album from Witch Hazel. Witch Hazel play a kind of a folky metal. I mean, look at this isn't, the picture on the back isn't just like a stage picture. Obviously it is, but this is what the kind of getup that they wear on stage. On their website, they describe themselves as what the new wave of British heavy metal would have been 600 years ago. I thought the first album was good. The first album was called Prelude. This is just excellent. Songs like Save My Life, See My Demons, Slaves to Righteousness. Check that out. That is amazing song. Really good. Victory as well. It's just they're a great band. I did see them live in Edinburgh a couple of months ago, and the album's called Sojourn. I don't know, can't really pronounce it. It's very Wishbone Ash influenced on that cover, but a beautiful album by a really good band that's going from strength to strength. Let's dive into some CDs next. Why not? This is an EP from a band from Liverpool called Forlorn Hope. Only 3 tracks on here, but the track Talavera I absolutely love. The sort of band that writes their lyrics are I believe factually correct from various battles and things, so a bit of a history lesson while you listen. It's only a 3-track EP. They are on Bandcamp. Thoroughly recommend that you check them out. Another one that's an EP. This is a 5-track this time. This is a band called Skyrider. It's just called Volume 1. I think if you like Night Demon, you will like these guys. Showed this in my last one. I'll listen to it. It gets better each time I listen to it. So this is Tantrum, Melt It Down. Only good got it a week and a half or so ago, but excellent stuff. Songs like The Tyrant, Last Man Standing, and New World Order are great, and they've written a song called NWOBHM, New Wave of British Heavy Metal, and it's a good fun romp. I mean, a lot of metal bands sing songs about heavy metal. Some of them are very, very cheesy. This has a little bit of cheese in it, but it's a fun song. It's good. Next up, Primal. I got this one as VCLT from Scott Waters. I knew he was sending me the Banshee CD that No Left on Metal Records put out, and I was really looking forward to that, but I think I actually prefer this one. Obviously the Banshee was a reissue, but I believe this is a first, this was actually released in 2018 and not a reissue. Yeah, absolutely great album. Again, great job done on that. Another new wave of British heavy metal band, or new wave of British heavy metal band. This is Primitai. I think this is their third or fourth album. Their third, I think it's called The Calling. Excellent. This is probably I have their other two albums as well, and this is probably the favourite of the three. Sound like they're really coming together. Really great stuff. Vuil, Hell. I think it's Vuil. VUIL. This is a 6-track EP. This is kind of more growly, dark speed metal, but absolutely superb. Chain Fist is probably my favourite track off this album. It has been released, I think, on Lone Records in Greece on a 10-inch, I think, in January. So I'm definitely going to try and pick up a copy of this on vinyl because I love it. Yeah, definitely a top release from this year. A band called Toledo Steel. Been lucky enough to see them 2 or 3 times now over the last couple of years. They just get better and better. They're back to being a 5-piece now. And this is their debut album, No Quarter. Songs on here that's difficult to read because it's red and black, but Cemetery Lake, No Quarter, the title song, Rock Nights. It's great. This is also going to get released on vinyl in 2019, so I'll be very excited to pick up a copy of that. Next up, a band. There's only 3 or 4 more to go. So, a band that I have talked about quite a lot on this channel and seen them probably about 5 times this year because they're a Scottish band, based in Glasgow, I think, but they've played in Edinburgh a few times, and that's Midnight Force with their album Dunsinane. Now this, when I first heard the CD, I thought it sounded a little bit muddy, to be honest with you, but the more I've seen them live and the more I've listened to the CD, the more I've really got into it. I mean, there's not a bad song on here. Killer, Scarlet Citadel, Down with the King, Witchfinder, Alicia Falls, Crystal Talon, Warlords Eternal, and Dunsinane. This is an absolute killer debut album from these guys. The songs are all kind of a medieval nature, but yeah, it's great. I even picked up the tape, and I don't buy tapes, but there we go. I picked up the tape, and I think the tape actually sounds a little. It's on silver. Sounds a little crisper than the CD, if I'm honest. This, I believe, is also getting a vinyl release, so I will be buying that for sure because that is one of my favourite albums this year. A couple of big hitters I've got left. 2 more to show, and then I'll wrap up with my favourite album of 2018. The mighty Saxon with Thunderbolt. I'm wearing the Thunderbolt Tour t-shirt that I picked up when I saw them in Glasgow this year. These guys have still got it. They are. It's brilliant when a band that has been going for this long is still churning out some really good numbers. They played for 2 hours. They didn't disappoint. They weren't just a tribute to themselves. They obviously played the classics, but they played quite a lot of songs from this album, and they held up against some of the earlier catalogue. great stuff. And I've put this, I'm deliberately showing it with Judas Priest Firepower because I believe they're both Andy Sneap produced albums. So there's a very sort of similar sound to the two of them. I'd probably put Firepower slightly ahead. Double album, Rising from Ruins and Flamethrower are probably my two favourite tracks on here, and they're back to back. Absolutely, great return to form for Priest. If this turns out to be their last album, then they're going out with a bang. Absolute killer stuff. And this is one that I've seen as being topping many people's lists, but not mine. As much as I do like this, it's not what I can listen to over and over, but when I go back to it, I enjoy it. So my favourite album from 2018 is a band that probably won't be on many people's list this year, but one that clicked with me straight away. I did see them live this year, and I did pick this record up actually at the gig I saw them at, and that is Seven Sisters, The Cauldron and The Cross. This is their second album, and one of the reasons why I've chosen this as my favourite album of the year is because it's probably better than their debut album. And I think whereas it's not easy for people to write albums, I've certainly never done it, but to write a fantastic second album I think is incredibly hard, certainly when you're playing more of a traditional metal style. It's like, where do you go, how do you not sound exactly the same as the last album? And I think a lot of bands suffer by being stuck for playing a style of sort of 80s metal and not really being able to move or explore any other avenues because they're traditional metal band. But Seven Sisters did enough on this album and took it way beyond what they'd done previously, and it's just superb. This is the record I've played the most. Originally had it on CD. As I say, when I saw them live, they were selling it on vinyl, so this is one that I've got signed. It's signed on the... I'm going to get it out. It's my favourite one. There we go. There we go. And we just see... I think the bass player, Javier, has since left the band, but I'm sure that they will go from strength to strength and moving on. So yeah, a killer second album. It was higher than Firepower Judas Priest because I was expecting Judas Priest album to be good. They've been doing it for 40 plus years. There's no excuse for them to come up with a bad album, whereas to come up with a second album of such fantastic quality, great songs, great musicianship, great vocals. Although I have heard again some people saying that they don't necessarily get on with the vocals, but I think they suit the music really, really well. So there we go. That's my 18 from 2018. I hope I've shown you something new that you can check out. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank everybody who subscribed to me since I started, especially over the last year. Especially those of you who watch and leave comments. Far few people watch than subscribe, and fewer than that leave comments, and it's really the comments and the interaction that I value the most on this channel. So I hope you will continue to watch and comment in the new year, and we can carry on talking about metal and yeah, keep doing this. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great new year, and I'll be back in 2019 with more of this nonsense. Thanks for watching.